Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the School of Light and to yet another image breakdown. And today I am honored, is the only word I can use to describe this, to have, I'll see if I can get this right, mate, Janne Parviainen.
Yeah, fine. Hello. Nice to see you.
Hello, yeah. Hi, Janne. Welcome to the School of Light, mate.
Thank you. It's an honor.
All right, so I'm going to introduce you to this man, and I'm going to try and keep this short, which is going to be a very difficult thing. As with all of the image breakdown episodes, especially these early ones, I believe that if you want to be a part of the School of Light and you want to learn about our art form, it's really important to learn a bit of history. And I'm introducing you to people who, for all sorts of different reasons, but with Janne, yeah. Janne, yeah. I'll get it wrong every single time. We go way back to the early days of Flickr, and you're going to hear me refer over these episodes a lot to a place called Light Junkies on Flickr. And Janne and I and a bunch of other people were there in the early days. Now, I've had a look on Janne's page, and I can see him light painting back in 2008. So, mate, you're an old man.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And so in the image breakdown today, I'll bring the image up on the screen that we're going to have a look at today with Janne. But I just want to introduce you a little bit to his style of light painting. Now, I have been trying to figure out how to explain this, and I think this is the best way. What is the difference between someone that is a light painter and someone that is a light painting artist? And this is I think Janne is a great way to describe that. If you're a light painter, you paint with light and you do a thing. I think you can call yourself a light painting artist if you look at an image on the screen like this one we're looking at, and I know instantly who created that image. I know who made it. Troy Paver, I know one of his images when I see it. You know, Darren Pearson, you know one of his photographs when you see it. So these are people that are light painting artists. And I think today, over this very short little episode, you're going to get an insight into how this amazing man creates these mind-bending images. And the image that we've selected today, Janne, I think you've given it a name called Turn the Tide. Is that right?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to ask you to do, mate, is two things. We're going to break this down in two ways. The first thing I would really like you to do is try and describe to us the idea. And then what we'll do after that is we'll break down the technique a little bit and then go through the steps of how you created this. You know, your style of writing people has been for 10 years. It has been around, and I love it. So if you could, mate, take your time and just talk to us a little bit about how you came up with the idea, perhaps what it means.
For this photo. Yeah. I think I at some point got this idea that I have to see this tree of light people, and then started figuring out how to do that. So I wanted to kind of like trick the eye, and I'm actually really inspired of this photographer from the 40s, this Philip Halsman, who did this famous photo of Salvador Dali with the flying cats and the water and everything on there. So in that kind of sense, wanted to do a light painting version of that. So I thought it would be nice idea to trick the mind with kind of like a forced perspective anamorphic drawings, which would be lit, and then adding like 3D elements like these branches, apples, and then combining that also with light painted figures in 3-dimensional space. So kind of like making this big mess for the brain to try to, how has this been done kind of effect.
It's something, it's interesting. And I talk about this a lot. You know, I back in the old days of the Flickr days, I think what would happen is we would spend more time than we do today looking at images and absorbing them. We scroll all the time. We're scrolling now. Scroll. And your images are a perfect example of why it's important to stop and try and absorb, because I'm looking at this now and you're right. It's that forced perspective, the mixed media, I think we probably call it, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
You talk to me about, so there's a lot of steps. We're lucky enough that you have it. There's a video that we've got a little bit of video of you making it.
Yeah.
But talk us through the steps, because this is a single image, right? That's the first thing.
Yeah, it's a single image. Yeah.
There's no Photoshop.
And it's no Photoshop of any kind of like post processing. I think it's like one of the fun things also, to kind of like challenge your mind. How do I do this? And I think actually I think the video is actually an important part of the whole process. It's part of the art piece. So it's kind of like you see the image and then kind of like a magician shows you how it's done. It's kind of like this, whoa, that's how it's done, kind of illusion. So we want to break the illusion after the illusion has like affected you. So
it's an interesting, I think that's really, I think it's fascinating actually, because when you look at this image, especially if you're a light painter, so you would look at it differently if you're a light painter to if you're not a light painter, because I look at this as a light painter and I'm like, whoa, like I know that there's a person in there somewhere and you're shaping around it. And I think this is one of the amazing things about light painting, is that someone who's not a light painter is going to see this and go, oh my God, but then see the video and go, oh my God, what have I seen? So because we do have the video and I'm going to cut to it. Talk to me about some of the challenges. What were the hard things about making this, mate?
I think it's the overall kind of like the creation process, because it's so time taking, and basically you don't know how it reacts until you try to light it up. And all these white lines that I first draw with the marker on the walls, I have to trace each line with a small LED light. So it's really time taking. I think that is the hardest part, the tracing of the lines.
How long is the exposure, Janne?
This is actually 24 minutes of exposure.
What?
Yeah, so in the pitch black studio, I'm like totally sweating and trying to like avoid the branches so that they don't fall, because they are like nailed onto the floor.
And there's obviously people in there with you, yeah?
Yeah. This was done with Janne, my wife.
Yeah.
So it's much easier if you have someone to help, especially with the light painted characters, because I sometimes trace myself also, but here I traced also Janne, and it's like a combination. Tell
me the meaning behind this. What is it? When you were thinking of the idea, talk to me about what was it that you were trying to express?
I think it's basically kind of like this nature feeling, like turn our tide like towards more environmental friendly. It's kind of like this Mother Earth kind of thing. So all these human characters are kind of like in kind of like harmony with the nature.
Well, they're almost a part of each other, aren't they? They're intertwined. They're intertwined with each other.
Yeah.
How many attempts did it take?
I think it might be like with the second or the first take, because I usually plan these really well beforehand, because it's really time taking. So I make lots of like small test shots from each segment. So then I know exactly how it's going to be, and then I just like do it in a row.
And you sketch it out, yeah? Like you would draw, the idea would be sketched out.
Yeah. Usually when I'm light painting outside, I love to improvise. I think that's one of the pleasures of light painting, that I can improvise. But with this kind of shots, it needs to be really thoroughly planned, because there's so much things that can go wrong, and it's like.
Well, and if there's other people involved, and especially when it's your wife, you need to keep her happy. Yeah. I remember some of your early work in the snow.
Yeah.
When you would go in the snow, because I live in South Australia, right, which is basically a desert, and there was no snow. It wasn't until last year that I painted in the snow for the first time. And I always remember looking at your work and being very envious of the
Yeah.
snow. But
Yeah, snow is a nice element. The hardest part with the snow is try not to make your like footprints visible. So you have to take like long leaps.
Run and jump. Woohoo!
Yeah, yeah. And try to get it with one shot.
Now we'll see this in the video, but you're quite proud of using very simple light painting tools, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
What are the different colors? You're just using different colored LEDs?
It's a color changing LED. It's a RGB.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so it makes it much easier. I don't have to change it all the time.
That's a very good point, actually.
Yeah.
Is it something
Yeah.
is it something you made yourself?
Actually, that one I think was from Light Painting Paradise.
Yes. One of his pens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's just like these small keychain LED lights.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Last year, I was with Ivan in his studio and watching him solder his little pens.
Yeah.
It was a buzz actually to see that.
Yeah.
Look, I think something I'm keen to hear from you, mate, is when people that are watching this that are, it's quite an overwhelming, the idea of getting into this sort of light painting is probably a little overwhelming for people because it's very, very complex.
Yeah.
If I was someone watching this video and looking at this and wanted to have a go or try, you would maybe just start with doing the people, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What bit of advice would you give someone who was wanting to have a try? How would they start out?
For this kind of style?
Yeah.
I think it's just like breaking it to smaller parts. Like first vision the whole photo and then try to like break it to parts. What would be the easiest step to start from adding? So kind of like layering it in your mind.
So you could almost start with your hand.
Yeah.
Just do your hand and practice with that and practice with that.
Yeah.
Until you get good
and
at
if
that.
you want and with the light characters, it's just easier, just like brace yourself, the whole body.
Yeah.
Like pointing the light towards the camera and with as tiny light source as possible. If you have then you will have like a really big light character.
Mate, I have your Flickr page up here on the screen now, and I'll show you. So there's you were doing a lot in the early days, and I'm just going to take the time to click through because I have such vivid. You would do these guys, and they were like this white and blue with a pink outline, and I've got it up on the screen now. I used to love, and I never tried it. I don't know why. I was so obsessed with just spinning orbs and orbs and orbs and orbs.
Yeah, the spinning is fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
you're
fun.
Like that. You're like the master of it now. So kudos to you.
I still have bad nights. And your arms, the things you would do with the hands and things. Now, something I want to point out to people that are watching, in going through a lot of these early days of Flickr, on Flickr, it would because it was a very photography-centric place, it would tell you what cameras people were using. And I was looking at some of your photos, not so much with those early Ixus ones, but you were using a little Panasonic camera. For ages. And I was looking at some of the photos. I could go downstairs now with a fancy pants mirrorless 50 megapixel camera, make it sort of website size. You would never know. You would never know what camera you were making them on. And I was looking at the specs. I think it was like a 10 megapixel thing. And it had this little 1-inch screen on the back.
And 8 seconds of maximum exposure. So if you wanted to make light paintings, you would have to run.
Janne, when you think back to those heady early days of light painting, what are your fondest memories?
I think like the absolute joy and pleasure of finding the technique. I was like so overwhelmed about it. I did light paintings every night for like, I think 1.5 years. Like, just like manic with it. Because it was like something new. You could do something that not much people had like done, but Picasso had done, but it was really something new, something to like totally explore as an art medium. So, and seeing like other people doing on light junkies and Flickr was like, I think it was like a warm community. It's still like functioning.
I'm with
I've been
you.
actually reading about these beat characters of the literary scene, and I kind of like, it's a similar feeling. Kind of like I can associate with that with them.
They were amazing days, and what I loved about them, and people that are watching this that are especially if you're just starting out in light painting, there was a beautiful thing before Facebook and Instagram, and we were. And I still think it exists today, but in a different form, was a real sense of sharing, of everyone growing. Like I wanted, we all as a group, if you can still go to Flickr and look at all the chats that were going on. We would share our tools, our ideas. We would encourage and push each other to grow and stuff. There was very little competition. There was often debates about the most ridiculous things, about what is
straight out of camera.
What is and isn't light painting. That's what I would love. What is and isn't light painting. And now, I laugh. I wouldn't say, I'm only going to say this very briefly, but I giggle now when I have people come on Facebook and Instagram at me and go, that's not proper light painting, to something I've done. And I'm like, you whippersnapper, come on. Oh, brilliant. Anyway, we could reminisce all day about that. I really love that piece of advice. I think your advice is fantastic, that breaking things down into the elements, learn and practice and practice and practice. I know that's something that people struggle with, but in these beautiful days of digital photography, you can go find, even if it's at home in a spare room with like you say, a little pen light or a little thumb light, and just practice.
Yeah.
Don't rush the results,
Yeah. And I actually like with light painting also this, that it's like, you can do it anyway. It's like, you just need like a dark space.
Yeah.
It's dark at your home. It's like your own universe. You can create anything to it. And you don't need like expensive toys. You just like need one light, one camera with exposure time.
That's it. The most basic thing. Well, mate, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be, anyone watching this, as always, I'm going to point you. Janne has a stunning website. It is so full of amazing work. Videos, amazing images. If you want to see this technique, learn more about this technique, his website is right up there. The quality, mate, is superb. Thank you for that. And I'll be pointing people there, because you can go and spend some time in there and really understand what the idea is, what the technique is, and learn more about you and your amazing work. And you're also, Janne is an actual artist as well, which is it's not just light painting.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share, mate?
No, nothing that comes to my mind now.
No, it's great. Look, yeah. It's nice. I really appreciate this photograph. I really appreciate you taking the time to break it down for us. And it must be summer up there. You're in Finland. In
Finland, yeah, Helsinki.
Yeah, you're in Finland. Oh.
Yeah. It's but it's basically, you can start to smell it coming out autumn already. But it's fun. It was a nice summer.
Beautiful.
It was warm.
Yeah. Well, it's like that everywhere. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. And everyone
Thank you.
watching, head down the, I'm going to try and say it again. The Janne Parviainen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
close. Yeah.
Head down the rabbit hole. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah.
A true light painting artist. And thank you so much for sharing with us, mate.
Thank you.
It.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this visit to the School of Light. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll be adding videos all the time. Head over to the Light Painting Tool Shop at the website. There's a huge array of tools I've made there for you to take on your light painting journey. Peace.